Is it working? Gotta have the Tim's first. Oh yeah. There we go. So I'm going to be putting in these bulbs. I ordered them from Amazon. They were about 70 bucks to get them delivered right to my door, which is pretty darn good considering that if you go to Canadian Tire and just get one of these regular halogen bulbs, they're going to cost you 20-25 bucks a piece anyway. So this is a pretty good deal. I did some research and these seem to be a pretty good buy, so we're going to pop one of these in and compare one of these to one of my standard halogen bulbs. So for this next segment, I got to use my handy dandy iPro camera because you won't be able to see what's going on inside there unless I use this beautiful little baby. I rigged this up myself too, by the way. You probably couldn't figure that out. Okay, so now we're going to get into the placing the bulbs themselves. You don't really need a whole lot for this job. You really only need just a flat nose screwdriver. Junior Burke, you want to get me a flat nose screwdriver? That guy's useless. Now for this part here, you can see that the dust cap is for my headlamp. They're very easy to take off, just a little bit of a counterclockwise, and the cap pops off, and then you get access to your bulb and your harness. It just takes a little bit of a counterclockwise twist to get it out of the housing, and you can see it has a little clip, retaining clip that holds it on. You pop that clip back, and with a little bit of effort, out pops your bulb, and you get your new bulb. Here's the new LED. The harness is plug and play. Just pop it in. Make sure it clicks in place. You don't want it popping out when you're driving. And because these are OEM replacement bulbs, as long as the big wide tab goes into the proper orientation in the housing, just a little bit of a twist and a turn, and she'll be plug and play. Just stuff the housing in, stuff the wiring back in. Make sure you leave opening for the fan to cool off the LED. Pop the housing back on, and Bob's your uncle. Okay, so we've got one of the new LEDs in, and I put it in on the driver's side, and you can obviously see the difference. See how nice and bright in a different color, a nice cool white that the driver's side is. And I'm just going to cover up one bulb at a time, and you can clearly see how much better the LEDs are. So this is the LED with LED. Halogen. No halogen. So clearly the LEDs are a much better option, especially for these projector bulbs. So the headlight access is really easy on the driver's side. However, on the passenger side, we have a problem. We have this air box and the air filter that's in the way. We cannot get at the housing without removing this air box. So we're going to remove this, and the easiest way to do that is, instead of taking the air filter out and all that stuff, is just to loosen the clamp that connects the air box to the intake, and just pull this hose off. We pop this off, remembering to be careful of our MAF sensor lead, and we should be able to get access to that headlamp cover, dust cover, quite easily, we hope. take this off. There's just a couple of braces that hold it in place in the bottom, and once it pops off, it should come out of there fairly easily. You know what? I am going to take this MAF sensor off because it's just easier. There, the connection's off. Take the whole air box out, and now we have access to the dust cover right back here. Now there is one more thing that we have to do. There's a little rubber shroud that goes over top of this, and it just has a couple of body panel clips in it, and we're just going to remove those. Okay, so as you can see, we have this shroud here, this plastic shroud, that is preventing us from getting access to the light assembly access, and so we just need to pry off these two little body plugs here, these plugs here. We just take those out. All you just need is a screwdriver just to pop those out, and then you can lift this back and you can see we have access to our light cover, our dust cover. Turn that, pop that off, and again we have access to our light now. A little counterclockwise, pull the bulb out. They sure don't give you a whole lot of room on the harness here, in the wiring harness, to get these things off, but you want to make sure that you're wearing gloves. You don't want to be touching these bulbs, these halogen bulbs, with your fingers. The oil is going to make them go kaboom. They're not going to last very long if you don't wear gloves and protect the bulb from your oils on your hand. So just a little bit of a pry to get this off of the harness. There we go. Now I'm going to go get my new halogen bulb. And again, here's our new halogen. It's just a plug and play. As you can see that there, I'll do it this way. You can see there's just a plug and play. Again, make sure it clips in. Orienting the big tab down. Get it inside. Half a twist to clockwise. Stuff the rest of the harness in. Make sure it's out of the way. Put your dust cap back on. These also have tabs that need to be oriented to make sure that they go in properly. If I can find the right, there we go. Okay, tightening that up. We put our plugs back in to hold this plastic shroud back on. Then we're going to put our air box back, and you can see that there's a couple of spots where the air box rests in those rubber grommets, and we just need to push those back in and make sure that it lines up with our fender here, because that's the fender intake. Oh, I might want to clean that out. There's some gunk and crap in there. And that'll be it. Okay, so now I'm going to get the air box back in. It's got to go in the opposite way it came out. And sometimes she's a little bit of a tight fit. But once it gets down in the housing area, then just line up those those grommets where it sits. Push down on it. And then she'll sit in there. Reattach our airbox hose. And sometimes it can be fun to get on there. Orient our clamp the right way. Tighten our clamp back up. And reattach our MAF sensor lead. And we should be good to go. So now with the new LEDs in, we can really have a look and see how much better the LEDs are than the old halogens. And if you happen to be driving at night and you come across, oh, I don't know, let's say a junior bird, at least you'll be able to see them from quite a distance. He looks happy.